What is up, my friends? We are live with tonight's late night agenda. Apologies, I am a couple of minutes late. I was just doing some, background stuff that I don't need to bore you with. So yeah, I hope we're all in good form. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Hope you've all had a wonderful day. Yeah, let's get stuck into the chat. Plenty to get through tonight, ladies and gents. Right, I seen a couple of super chats actually before I got going. So, Real Madrid are greedy. Give it a rest, please. Look, this isn't my story, by the way, so don't be coming in to shoot the messenger on this one. I'm just passing on what's out there in the media. Do you think Osimhen would fit? No, I don't, in all honesty. I've never been his biggest fan, but again, if he's who the owners want and the manager wants, hey, I'll be right behind him. But yeah, it's an interesting window so far. I think that's fair to say. Did Northern Ireland win? Did they win? That's why I was delayed as well. I was watching the darts and I was like, please Northern Ireland win, please Northern Ireland win, please Northern Ireland win. It was 9-9 as it was coming on, so I don't know if they won it or not. That's why I was reading the chat as well, hoping somebody was going to spoil it for me. Yes, they won, gets in. Delighted for them. Absolutely delighted for them. Sorry, nothing against Wales, of course. Two great darts players there in Gezi Price and his partner, but yeah, just delighted for Northern Ireland. Fair play to them. Josh Rock was an absolute incredible form in that darts. Right, stayed up to 3 a.m. yesterday watching the Club World Cup for it to be 0-0, said Tony Hughes. Yeah, I watched it as well. It wasn't a great spectacle, was it? I mean, the Inter Miami goalkeeper did well, saving the penalty and all. So look, I'm not going to hang around and make you guys wait. Let's get stuck into the news here. And two things that have caught my eye today around the Ibrahim Konate situation. One of them is Marca saying that Real Madrid have started working on their next free agent target, Ibrahim Konate. Now, from Liverpool's perspective, if this is true, and it's from Marca, so take that with a massive pinch of salt. But if this is true, Liverpool are going to have to sell. You know, if Konate isn't signing a new deal, they can't have another Trent situation where he goes out the door for free. But on top of that, there was another story today that caught our eye as well, and this one came from Graham Bailey, who said Ibrahim Konate is demanding big money from Liverpool in contract talks. If a deal isn't agreed in the next month, there's a real prospect of the defender being sold. Now, I got to state from the off here, I don't know the situation with Konate. Like I've been saying to you guys, centre back, centre forward is not my area of expertise, but it's certainly not great news. But then again, it is just that, news. We don't know for a fact. We haven't heard anything from Konate. And again, we'd seen reports saying he was close to signing a contract extension in October, November time. He again said that whoever those journalists were, Romano, Joyce and others, got it very wrong. So I'm certainly not going to start getting frustrated by the situation yet, but you would hope that we would see some progression on those contract talks because we can't let this go deep into the summer. If Konate is eyeing a move to Madrid down the line, then Liverpool better get out in front of it. But truth is, these are just media reports and we have to just wait and see what happens with them. But still not great. It's not the most encouraging of signs with regards to Konate's future. Colin said, I was at the Bayern game. Cool experience to watch. It was an absolute piss take of a game, Colin, in all honesty. It was everything that was wrong with this Club World Cup. You know, 10-0 is not a competitive game of football that anybody wants to go and see. It's not fair on that club from New Zealand. Yes, they're going to make some good money in it as well, but a 10-0 hammering is not a good look for a competition. It really isn't. So yeah, I get that one. So look, what do we think about Konate? What's your gut feeling? I'm going to ask you guys for the first poll of the night. Do you think he stays? So let's go with that one. Where are we on that one? Learn how to spell, Craig. Learn how to spell. Right, so do you think Konate stays at Liverpool? Yay or nay? I haven't got a clue on this one. Honestly, I don't have a clue. I'd like to think yes, because of course I want him to stay, but honestly haven't got a clue. Robbie Salmon said Konate is not worth the money like VVD. Sell him. Konate is not worth big money. Better centre backs out there, said Carl Clear. Stay this window or stay next. You can't you can't let it go past this summer if you're Liverpool. We just can't. We have to make a decision on it this summer. If he doesn't agree an extension within the next few weeks, I think you have to look at a sale. You can't run the risk of him running down his contract and going for free. Connor said, bit worried about too much change if we end up losing Trent, Robbo, Konate, Diaz all in one window. Yep, there's no denying that, mate. There is healthy change and then there is stressful, worrying change, and certainly this would fall into the worrying camp for me. So West Ham, by the way, West Ham, the newest club to be exploring a potential loan deal for John Duran, with Fulham and Wolves also showing interest according to Team Talk. Apart from that, Napoli and a couple of other clubs, I think a couple of clubs in the Turkish league are looking at a potential loan there for John Duran as well, as he looks to escape Al Nassr, and the situation isn't really working out for him psychologically, it seems, over there. Right, if he doesn't agree with Liverpool, he has to be sold. No Trent 2.0, said Itachi. I don't think we should be so quick to dismiss him. He's not a top five, excuse me. Is he not a top 5 centre-back in the league? I don't think anybody's dismissing him, mate. You know, you didn't cause this situation. I didn't cause this situation. Any of the other Reds in the chat, mate, didn't cause it either. So, you know, for us as fans, we don't really have any control over this. All we can do is sit back and see how it pans out. Like we've said, and I've gone out of my way to start of the stream to say these are reports in the media. We don't know the actual state of play. So I'm certainly not going to be passing any judgment on Ibrahim Konate until we get, well, higher sources talking about the situation. So, yeah, for me, I'm nervy about it because, again, it is a player into the last year of his Liverpool contract, and the Trent situation has stung us a little bit as well. On that Trent situation, actually, let's go back a little bit, because apparently Robbo's agent, i.e. Trent's brother and that agency, was ringing around offering Andy Robertson to a whole host of clubs, including Real Madrid. This piece here from Defensa Central said that the Spanish club were the first to receive a call about Andy Robertson, and they said thank you but no thank you on that one. And of course, next up was the conversation with Atletico Madrid, which looks like it could be bearing some fruit for Andy Robertson's camp. We will talk about the valuation of that, by the way, because Liverpool have one number according to reports in the media, and Atletico Madrid want them at a much, much lower number. So let's wait and see how this one pans out. But again, not unpleased to be rid of the other Alexander-Arnold from the Liverpool circle, shall we say. Not the playing brother, but, you know, the agent brother. Yeah, not sad to say bye-bye to him. Konate is just a Paul McGrath, Phil Babb, Craig. Simple. I think Konate is a very good defender. I don't think he's top 5 in the world. I wouldn't go anywhere near that. But I do think he has huge potential. On his day, he's incredible. But he has faults as well. You know, Konate, we've said before, can be a bit too lackadaisical in his positioning. Sometimes how tight he gets to a defender. Sometimes can be a little bit ditzy, but again, very good aerially, as we know, physical unit of a player. But any player playing alongside Virgil is going to look a bit better than they are. So yeah, relaxed on it, but let's wait and see how it pans out. So I want to talk to you guys about a little bit that the Anfield Talk posted from a piece by Jonathan Norcroft in the Times, and it was about Florian Wirtz and exactly why we've gone in for him. Let me read this out to you, and hopefully it'll give you a bit of an indication of exactly what a talent we're bringing in. So, Jonathan Norcroft writes that Wirtz epitomises the young talent who is humble off the ball and arrogant on the ball, with his great numbers both when doing the pressing and when resisting being pressed. He led the 24-25 Bundesliga for goal-creating actions, through balls, successful take-ons and progressive carries. And beyond the stats, there is always the eye test. All I can say, when I attended the Bayer Leverkusen versus Bayern Munich game in February, he was, by a margin, the best player. It seemed his feet and brain worked at a higher speed to everybody else on the pitch. A senior Premier League scout put aside envy to call the recruitment of Wirtz an excellent signing that puts Liverpool as the club to beat. Manchester City are now finding themselves having to make compromise signings, which is wild given their wealth and standing, but is very much an accurate reflection of the transfer market in 2025. He added that every team is looking for unicorns and Liverpool are in the unique position of holding on to theirs with Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk, in contrast to Manchester City saying goodbye to the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, while saving their money to splurge on the best available young candidate to become a future star. Because clubs don't just need to sell as much as they once did, gettable difference makers are in very short supply, with PSG understood when they signed Kvicha Kvaratskhelia and which persuaded Liverpool to go so big on Wirtz. So as you can see there, this move is making waves in football circles because it is incredible. So don't let any of these salty opposition clubs fans get into your head about Cherky or any of that shite. We're getting the absolute superstar, and I can't wait. This is going to be the week. The window opens again tomorrow, and it's open then all the way through to September 1st, so we can start to relax once we see him jetting in for the medical. It actually feels like Trent's brother's out to destabilise Liverpool on behalf of Madrid. Look, I don't know. I don't know Trent's brother, but, you know, when you see articles coming out to say that he's offering Andy Robertson to everybody and sundry, that certainly not going to sit well with Liverpool fans. You know, we most expected Robertson to stay at least till the end of his next contract. But on that, let's talk about Robertson's valuation. So there was a piece that came out late yesterday evening, coming from Italy that said, I think it was from Italy. It was either Italy or Spain, one of those two countries, that said that Atletico Madrid hope to get Andy Robertson for free or for a very, very low value. Now, another report said that Liverpool are going to look for about £20 million for Andy Robertson. So, the idea of letting him go for free would just be stupid by Liverpool. Like, why would they let him go for free or for 4 or 5 million quid? You might as well let him run down his contract and leave for nothing than do that and keep the experience around the dressing room. So that's where we're at with regards to Andy Robertson. It does look like the potential of that move over to Atleti is genuine. I took my dad for Father's Day. Once in a lifetime chance to see Bayern play an hour from my house. Going to Dortmund next weekend with friends too. Nice. Enjoy. Sure, you've got the World Cup coming up as well, Colin, in America soon. So enjoy it, my man. But look, I just thought it was a bit of a mismatch and a bit of a bad luck for the tournaments, you know. Obviously, hope you and your dad had a great time though. Right, this is a top 10 signing, top 5 if you consider quality to value. Who are we talking about there, Jeremy? Oh, if we're talking about Florian Wirtz, I'm saying, mate, top 5 in the world, like you've said, absolute super signing. I heard Liverpool paid for Trent's brother to get his degree and licence, and he does that. I've no idea, Carl, if they did or didn't. Haven't got a clue if Trent's brother was paid for his work by Liverpool or not, or paid to study, excuse me, and get his qualification for Liverpool or not, mate. I'd be just guessing to say I knew about that. I've no clue. Let's talk about Federico Chiesa for a little minute. So, Calcio Mercado said that Besiktas are the latest club to enter the fold for Federico Chiesa. We know that he's going to want to go and play because the World Cup's coming up, and if Italy make it, he's going to want to be in the new manager, Renato Gattuso's thoughts. Funnily enough, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does manage, or is going to manage, Besiktas, so it would become a teammate of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's if Federico goes there. But I don't know, I think a move to Italy would be more sensible, and Napoli we know have a few quid as well, so I would expect them to come back in. AC Milan, another team that's been linked. Right, where we're at. Carlos Tevez scores for the World 11. There's just so many things on, isn't there? So you've got the World Cup of Darts, which is just finished. You've got the World Club Cup, which is on now. You've got the Soccer Aid game as well, which is on. Busy weekend for everyone. Right, let's check in on our poll, ladies and gentlemen. Also, if you can look towards the top corner for me, probably a long shot to do it tonight, but we are only 179 subscribers now away from hitting 326,000. So if you could do me a massive favour, hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, you know what to do. I feel bad about Chiesa. So Jeremy, it's the most American feeling thing. They saw a cheap deal and hope they can make a quick profit. It's a weird one though, Jeremy, because he didn't even get a fair shake, did he? You know, we all got excited by the idea of Federico and a reasonably priced deal. We understood that, yes, he was going to take some time to build up match fitness because he didn't get much of a look in under Thiago Motta at Juventus. But yeah, it's just been a weird one. Didn't even put him in the shop window as much to try and make some money if that was the plan. I genuinely believe, mate, that this must have been a signing that Arna wasn't really involved in, because I can understand Liverpool taking a punt. The numbers involved are reasonable, but it just feels like wasted wages and a wasted squad place if the manager didn't want them. Join here tonight, first day talking to Robert Morgan. Robert, welcome into the chat, my man. Great to have you in. Appreciate your support. Apologies if I sound a little bit raspy or anything today. I have a really bad throat today, which has nearly caused me to not stream. But you know me, I couldn't not stream, so I had to come on in the end. Mythical return. You didn't put in a comment, mate, but 22 months with us as a member. Absolute legend, bro. Thank you so much. Did somebody say that PSG went 2-0 up in that game against Atleti before half-time? Who scored the second out of curiosity? I know Fabian Ruiz had scored the first. Right, let's check on our poll. So, we asked, do you think that Konate stays at Liverpool Football Club? Now, we've had about nearly 1,500 votes, so we'll leave it on a little bit longer. But, Vitinha, thank you, bro. Appreciate that. So, does he stay at Liverpool past this summer? Yes or no? Let us know. Right, what other news have we got to get back into? Let's talk Victor Osimhen for a little minute, because there's been some links over the past 24 hours with Liverpool and Osimhen, and I can't lie, there genuinely has been. Romano has said that Al Hilal have still not given up on Victor Osimhen. Osimhen. I know I keep pronouncing his name incorrectly. They've not left the conversation and remain interested in the player. Al Hilal are still there and still offering big money. But there was a piece, let me just find this article, that suggested, here we go. This came out late last night that said Napoli believe Liverpool are the favourites for Victor Osimhen and are unwilling to sell to rivals Juventus. On top of that, there were even other reports that said that Liverpool spoke with him before the Al Hilal situation. So certainly an interesting one. Is it this one here? Yeah, TBR Football said Liverpool held talks with Victor Osimhen before he rejected a move to Al Hilal. So Napoli think we're the favourites. He's rejected a move previously to Al Hilal. It doesn't look like Galatasaray can get the price up to where it needs to be. So for me, at the minute, if you're looking at two potential frontrunners, and remember, I don't know any inside information on this, you would say Osimhen and Ekitike are probably the two most likely candidates at the minute. United fans are feeling very confident about their initial approach for Hugo Ekitike, as we know United's desperation to land a centre forward. They missed out on Delap, and they're about to miss out on another one as well, as Kerkez looks like he wants to go to Arsenal. New post on Anfield sector on Wirtz will have a medical this coming week. I mean, how is that a new post? Some of the updates I've seen are fucking priceless. I'd rather not post them. There's no update. Like, we knew, the world knows he's having his medical this week. He's on holidays till Wednesday, so that's no breaking news to anyone. We've known that for, well, since we knew the deal was agreed. AD said Osimhen and Wirtz would destroy the Prem. Akinja, happy Father's Day to you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yes, appreciate it. Hope everybody out there had a good Father's Day. I like Konate. He's a good centre-back, but if he doesn't sign, he should be sold. No one is bigger than our club. Liverpool deserves the full heart. And again, like we spoke about earlier on, we've got to say these are newspaper reports, and we don't know the inside scoop with Ibrahim Konate. All we know as fans right now is he's just about to enter into his last year. There has been no breakthrough in the conversations about a new deal yet, and we know that Real Madrid are seemingly hovering around there. I can imagine at this point, though, Liverpool are pretty annoyed at the whole Madrid situation, and they're flirting with players to run down their deals. Are we all just going to be adults now and say that there's no tapping up doesn't exist? Because how could this not be tapping up? How could a Trent situation not be tapping up? You know, it seems like only Liverpool get called out for these things when we went to sign Virgil van Dijk. But, you know, Madrid can be hovering around players, telling them to run down their contracts and fluttering their eyelashes at them. The whole thing seems grubby, to me, but hey, I expect nothing less from Madrid. LFC Robbo said, Osimhen and Salah will both be at the AFCON. Can we afford to miss both? Well, it's a month maximum in a season that, again, everyone might lose some players to the AFCON. We'd still have Diogo Jota at the club in this scenario. We'd still have the ability for Wirtz to play central or Diaz to play central. So I wouldn't not sign an African player just because the club, or the AFCON is coming up, but I do fully understand your point. What have we got? Shilendry Prashard said, Craig, I've written 13 exams in 2 weeks and think I'm going to crash out. Your channel's keeping me sane. I appreciate that, my friend, and I hope that the exams are coming to an end for you soon. I tell you what, mate, it's been a mad month for me as well. I am absolutely shattered. Absolutely shattered. But, yeah, wishing you the best with the final exams. Teenage Scaper said, do you think any profit on Wirtz if ever sold? Oh, I don't even know, my friend, where to go with that one. I hope, look, if there is profit on him, if he's ever sold in the future, well, that obviously means that it was a good signing for Liverpool. So maybe, hopefully, or hopefully he stays here for the next 10 years, wins a load of trophies, a couple of Ballon d'Ors, and we're all talking about this amazing piece of business that we did. This is a close poll, by the way, so if you haven't taken part yet, please do. The question is, do you think Konate stays at Liverpool Football Club? And we're running a poll, by the way, over on our WhatsApp channel as well. And we said, if you had to choose one of these two options, which one would you go for? So if you want to join the WhatsApp community, scan that QR code there on the screen or use the link pinned to the top of the chat. Yeah, we're asking, would you take Victor Osimhen at 70 million euro or Hugo Ekitike at 100 million euro? Which one do you think would be the better signing for Liverpool? Jeremy said, it feels like we'll have 7-8 new players by the start of the season. I certainly think 5-6 feels realistic enough. Depends if we need any more reactionary type signings. You know, I don't really expect Liverpool to lose players that they don't think they may lose. I don't expect a shock this summer in that regard. The Diaz situation is very interesting though, because Barcelona keep going back and forth. So this piece here from Sport said, there's an understanding between Diaz and Barcelona. This is very important as they don't have to worry about competition and can focus on negotiations with Liverpool. But then you go and read another piece coming out of Spain and they say that all their cards are in the Nico Williams bundle. And this is where I often feel a little bit sorry for players who are courted by the likes of Barcelona, because they don't half leave people out to hang dry. If you either want Diaz or you want Nico Williams. If you want Luis Diaz, then come and start making a bid. If you want Nico Williams, then go and trigger the release clause. But what we don't need is another player distracted by Barcelona as they try to put together enough money. If you want to make a deal for him, Liverpool will tell them the price very straightforward. If you can pay it, and Liverpool see what story is. If you can't pay it, then piss off annoying them. I'm getting a bit bored of these Spanish clubs destabilising people. Diaz has had probably one of his best seasons for Liverpool, and we don't need him being distracted unless it's going to end up with him moving away. Because I don't want to see a situation where Lucho maybe puts his cards on the table and says, yes, I would like that move to Barcelona, only for it to fall through and then it's to become a toxic situation inside our own club. That I don't want to happen. Tony, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you, sir. What was this one? I don't really care about booing during the England rest of the world game, Mark. In all honesty, I couldn't give a shite about Soccer Aid other than the money going to good causes, of course. Thank you, Andy. Much love to you as well. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate that support. And of course, you're 22 months with us as a member. Right, let's get back into the chat. And Lucho had his wedding. Nice. We love that. The good Kev said, Craig, I saw the Bayern game today, 10-0, just a laughing stock of a competition. Should be a top team in each continent as it used to be and have it done. It's not entertaining, it's boring. It's demoralising as well. Like, nobody wants to see a 10-0 in a competitive tournament. Like, it's nuts. That's not going to do much good to Bayern Munich, and it's certainly, other than financially, not really going to help out Auckland either. So, yeah, didn't enjoy that 10-0. Frank, how are we, Frank? Frank Matienga, excuse me if I've mispronounced, sir, said Ekitike and Vutmada can bring something better than the overrated Osimhen and Isak. I think Vutmada certainly has a lot to prove, you know, kind of just breaking through. Playing with the German under-21 team today, actually. Last I checked, they were 2-0 up against Czechia. So, yeah, he's playing in the under-21 Euros at the minute, so there'll certainly be nothing on him, I would imagine, what he's playing during that tournament, although there have been links to other clubs. Tony, sorry, Tony, I glanced down, seen T and thought it was Tanya. That's my bad, my man, sorry. Sam Quek came on for England at Old Trafford, Soccer Aid, He'll Never Walk Alone. Bet the Manx love that. Look, again, it's money for good causes. After that, I don't really pay too much attention to Soccer Aid. Obviously, great work for everybody involved in it, raising money for really good causes. But yeah, as a spectacle, I'm not really into those type of charity games, or even the Liverpool Legends games. Doesn't really float my boat, to be honest with you, because if I watch football, I want to watch good competitive football. I still hope we could make a play for Šeško. Yeah, so would I, Jeremy. I wouldn't mind him. It'll be interesting, though, because Arsenal seemingly are getting the nod from Gyökeres that he wants to go there. So, you know, if that's going to be their centre-forward signing, that still leaves Šeško in play, still leaves Osimhen in play, still leaves Hugo Ekitike in play for now, although Manchester United are feeling quite confident about the situation with Hugo Ekitike, even though he's, how shall we say, biding his time. I think that's fair to say. So this report from Kicker, and credit LFC Transfer Room who posted this, and thank you, Mark, for sending it on to me, said a decision from Bayer Leverkusen on whether to make a move or not for Jarell Quansah is not expected until the end of this month. It is going to be an interesting situation, because I would be the first to sit here and say I think Quansah gets sold, but not if there's any doubt on the Konate situation. Makes Liverpool's summer even more hectic if we have to look at replacing Ibu or not. Vutmada scored 4-2 now. Wow, what a game. Plenty of goals in that one. El Harvo, happy birthday to Mo and myself. Oh, happy birthday, dude. Hope you had a good one. And happy birthday to the great man as well. But yes, happy birthday to you, my friend. Could Robertson and Nunez be the secret to Alvarez? No, I don't think so. It looks like the problem with Alvarez is he just doesn't like the weather in the UK. And that was one of the main reasons as well that he wanted to just go. That and the fact that he was playing second fiddle to Haaland. But I really just don't think there's much chance of us getting him. As I mentioned yesterday, the Isak stuff isn't going away, and that's still kind of floating around. But the two at the minute that looks like are the most spoken about for Liverpool are Victor Osimhen and Hugo Ekitike. But honestly, like I've said, I'm not going to be the one to tell you who we're going to go for, because I really don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing this week, though, because... Oh, did you see the post from Kerkez's brother? Basically, Kerkez's brother saying he's going to soon be a Liverpool player. So, yeah, pretty clear on that one. He plays in the Greek league as a fullback, and he was on a boat. They were picturing Milos Kerkez driving the boat, and he put up an Instagram post, I think it was, and basically said, Kerkez, but Milos Kerkez, blah, blah, soon to be a Liverpool player. So, again, that's an open secret. The fact that we've already seen Bournemouth bring in 2 replacements over the last 6 months, one in January and one just yesterday, means that, yeah, that Milos Kerkez deal should chug along rather nicely now over the next week. I would expect some news on that in the next 24, 48 hours, in all honesty. Daryl said 1 month anniversary as a member. Love the show, Craig. Well, I appreciate your support, Daryl, and happy 1 month anniversary, my man. The worst kept secret, LFC Naturalist. Yeah, it is. But you know what? I'm still very interested to see the price and see what number Liverpool can get Milos Kerkez for, because I know certainly Liverpool looked at 45 million as a little bit on the high side, but ultimately, if we get him in, I'm not going to really care as a fan about the price because there's no doubt he's the right fit for us, and I think it's going to be a great success. Kai, how are you, sir? Said Craig, how are you doing? My throat's a bit sore, man, but struggling on. Happy Father's Day, you absolute legend. Thank you. What are your thoughts on Chiesa and Darwin for Osimhen? By the way, love the channel. Keep up the good work. Chiesa and Darwin. I mean, it's absolutely in the realms of plausible. We know that Napoli need reinforcements. We know that Napoli are interested in both the players you mentioned. And if Liverpool have a serious interest in signing Osimhen, then why not? You know, if it makes anything go a little bit smoother for everybody involved, I wouldn't take it off the table. But like I said, I don't know who Liverpool's number one target is through the centre. Yeah, I'm waiting to see how much we get in for Darwin as well, because like we've mentioned numerous times, he's 100% going to leave. There's lots of talk of Saudi, there's lots of talk of Napoli, there's some talk of AC Milan. Let's see who puts the money down on the table for Mr. Nunez. Philly Reds said, I love Alvarez, but not at the expense of him being miserable. We want players who want to be here. Yeah, the time to have gotten him, I think, would have been when he was at River Plate. City got an absolute bargain when they signed him. Hopefully Hughes cashes in his discount card for Kerkez. It's gonna be class this week. I can't wait to see it all unfold and then see the presentation of Florian Wirtz, Milos, Kerkez, and then we've seen, a great start to the summer transfer window for Liverpool. Probably going to see a few outgoings next. With the under-21 championships, though, 2 potential outgoing players in Harvey Elliott and Kwanzaa will probably be done later in the window now, because they'll have the under-21 Euros with England, depending on how far they go there. They'll have to have their holiday as well. So they're deals that I think will be later in the window. So I wouldn't expect those sales to be completed soon enough. But others, as an example, could be done a little bit quicker. Again, Tyler Morton, he's at the England under-21 Euros as well. This poll on Ebu is really close. 1 percentage point in it at the minute. So, do you think Konate stays at Liverpool Football Club? We'll let it run to about 3,000 votes and then we'll cut it off. But it's really close right now. Declan, happy Father's Day to you as well, mate. And you said happy Father's Day to all the fathers in the chat. Appreciate you, sir. King Kenny, much love, my man. Appreciate you. Thank you. Honestly, it never feels like work to do this, mate. I'm so privileged to be here. But yeah, I appreciate your support. I don't know what's gone on over the past month, lads, but it's gone nuts. Honestly, the whole channel's gone mental. The views are going through the roof. New people are finding our community, and it just feels like a dream to come on and wake up and come down every day and do it. Even days like today where I'm feeling a little bit sick, still just buzzing to be here with you all. The World Cup is a joke. I agree. The Club World Cup's a joke, PJ. It's an absolute piss take. Like, I get Gianni Infantino wanting to expand it a bit, but I think he's gone too far with it, especially at a time where the football club calendar and the football calendar in general is just not giving players a chance to have a rest. Definitely feels like they've gone too far with it. Like, nobody needs to see that 10-0 earlier on. It doesn't help anyone. We're at 50-50 in the poll, by the way. 50-50 on the poll. Will Konate stay, or will Konate still be a Liverpool player? Yes or no? Wow. Wow, close. Toyin, thank you, my friend, and to everybody else saying happy Father's Day. You're all legends. Mr. H and friends, thank you as well. Stephen Cooper said, Craig, who do you think is the best player to have won the number 7 shirt for Liverpool? Come on now. Is that even a real question? Kenny Dalglish is the answer to the question. Without any hesitation, I think if I didn't say Kenny Dalglish, I'd rightly be hounded off the internet. Yeah, Dalglish, mate, without any doubt. Happy Father's Day, Craig. Oh, you deserve many hugs. Thank you, Adrian. Appreciate that. We don't really do the whole Father's Day, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day thing in the house, I always tell the kids not to bother. It's I just it just feels commercialized nonsense really. But Mother's Day, I'd make a bigger play for because Sabrina deserves some recognition. Yeah, she does the heavy lifting with the running around after the kids and all that stuff. So Mammy definitely deserves to be pampered. What's this one? Oh, top clubs are now becoming afraid of Real Madrid because of their free agent signing policy. They know that when Real Madrid come in, it becomes very difficult to keep their players. Liverpool felt it with Trent, and now they're feeling it again with Konate, said Marca. This really does feel like a war at this point. I don't know what else to say, but I'm going to be bluntly honest with you, as I always try to be, but I despise that club and everything about it. They're a classless, horrible club. I just hate them. They don't want to be in the Champions League, but they want to be in it. They want the Super League started, but yet they still want the respect. They don't show up when their player didn't win a Ballon d'Or because they were so petty. And now they're just trying to tap up players and destroy clubs by getting players to run their contracts down. If this isn't a case for them to be investigated for tapping up, then I don't know what is. And look, like I always say, by all means, opposition fans come in and laugh at Liverpool about it. But let's see when it happens with Saliba at Arsenal or when it happens elsewhere, how other people feel. It is a situation that clubs are going to have to be mindful of. Absolutely. Do you even let a player get to 2 years to go on his contract now, the way this situation is, if you think there's any hope? The likes of Madrid will be sniffing around. What I've said, though, and I mean this to be absolutely sincere, you got to play hardball with Ibu. And I mean this respectfully. If he is stalling, you say this very fucking clearly. Right, mate, here's our best offer. If you don't want to take it, by all means, that's up to you. But we're not going to make it easy here for you. And you will be on the bench for the season. And if you want to go to the World Cup with France, well, you're not going to get picked if you're not playing. And we're going to make a stand here. Because if your plan is to run down your contract and join Real Madrid, then you're going to do it with no help from us whatsoever. And I know that sounds snide, but that's what's going to have to be done. If he wants to sign a new deal and they can come to an agreement, brilliant. Welcome. Stay at the club. But if the plan is to leave, Liverpool have to be hard-nosed about this, and I don't care. We can't be nicey about it. We've got to make a line in the sand here and stand firm on it and say, look, if you want to leave this club, no problem. That's on you. But we're going to take the hit for a year, and we're going to let you play with the 21s, and then best of luck going to the World Cup. And if anybody disagrees with that, I'm sorry, but I think you're being delusional. It's either stay or something has to be made an example of. That's the way this has to be, in my opinion. Other words, we're just going to see this situation come up at Real Madrid over and over and over again, and we can't be having it. Itachi said, thank you, Craig, for almost 3 months. You're in my daily life at watchalongs, news videos, and late night agendas. No day without Craig. Look, mate, it works the other way around as well. For me, it's a pleasure to be on here every day chatting with you guys about football, and I appreciate your support. Frank Boyle said, we shouldn't allow him to hold us to ransom. See, it's really difficult, this one, right? Because, like I've said, we don't know. With Trent, we could get a read on the fact he wanted to go. You could see that he was dragging it out. I honestly don't know where Konate's head's at. So I don't want to go full in, knowing that this could all be sorted next week. But what I will say is, you can't let this go on long. Liverpool need a resolution to this, and there has to be a firm date put in the calendar, whether that's end of June, whether that's whatever. Somebody has to say, the contract either gets agreed by this stage or we find a resolution. Can't be dicking about and letting it drag on. We just can't. Jonathan said, yes, great, thank you for everything. You're very knowledgeable about sport, by the way. Would it be possible if I could come on and talk with you? Honestly, probably not. I get a lot of people asking me to highlight their work or give them a shout out, and the truth is, and I mean this sincerely, it's not a benefit to you for me to give you a platform. It just isn't, because you're gonna have to do it yourself. If you really want to make a play in these type of environments, you got to do it yourself. So I don't mean that to be rude, but this is my audience that I've worked hard for, and I don't like giving up my microphone. I don't like sharing it. I'll be honest about it. I don't. This is me chatting with friends in my eyes. So much respect, and I appreciate your kind words. But I get loads of these messages every week, and sometimes you need that tough love. There's no shortcut in this. There's none to get to where you need to be. Took us 5 years before we made any money. We were about 30 grand in debt by the time we ploughed everything into the channel, and it's only been in the last couple of years it's started to go this way for us. So yeah, I'm going to do the tough love approach on these things. And also, I've seen it happen in the past where, let's say KSI would give somebody a shout out. Their channel would get a shit ton of subscribers like that, but no views, because the interest wanes and dies off. So I'd say always build your platform, do it your own way with your own personality. And even if it's 1,000 people that are genuinely interested in what you have to say, it's better than 1 million people who don't know who you are. So yeah, just do your thing. Put your own personality and stamp on it, and I think you won't go too far wrong. 200k per week, and if he wants 300k, bench him if he agrees to be sold. Is he a 200 grand a week defender though? Really? I don't know. We had this discussion before. I think most of us feel that from 80 grand that he's on now, he absolutely deserves a pay rise. I think most people here would agree with that one. But is it 80k to 200k? For me, I've got to say no. Because I know the situation is a little bit tilted here, because we have to look at the fact he's got 1 year to go. But is that worth leveraging another 12.5 million quid on a contract over 5 years to go up from 150 to 200 for that extra 50 grand, which is, as I said, 12.5 million over 5 years? I don't think he's a 200 grand a week defender right now. I think he can become a 200 grand a week defender, but look what Virgil had to do to get there, and I don't think Konate's at that level yet, personally. Will Joe Gomez stay at Liverpool at the end of the window? Don't know, mate. I really don't know. I want him to. I'm a big Joe Gomez fan, but I also want him to get game time. And if he wants to move on and the club get a fee that works, maybe. But it's not losing one player with Joe. For me, it's losing 1.5 because of the versatility. Right, the poll. We're nearly towards the 3,000 votes. Do you think Ibrahim Konate stays at Liverpool Football Club? 1% between it at the minute. We've got 170 votes to go, and then we'll close it off. Can you do a poll for Ekitike or Osimhen? There's already one on our WhatsApp channel, mate. So if you want to join the WhatsApp channel to take part in that poll, which is the last thing I posted on there, I believe, scan that QR code on the screen and you can take part in that poll. We've got that very question running in the WhatsApp at the minute. Do you think Victor Osimhen at 70 million euro or Hugo Ekitike at 100 million euro, which is the better deal? Jeff said 150 grand a week tops for Konate. Jeff, that's where I'd be at, mate. That's exactly where I'd be at. That's a fee that I think is it's not even doubling his wages. Like, let's be honest, that's a lot of money. There aren't too many other industries over the course of a couple of years you can almost double your salary. So I think if Liverpool offered up to 150 grand a week, I think that's a very fair offer. I mean, could you maybe do monthly live where you could talk to fans and debate topics around Liverpool? Could be great to hear people's opinions. That's certainly something, Ricky, that is possible. It's still trying to find the right technology, in all honesty, Ricky, but I can see a world where we can get it to a place where members have call-ins, where we do some shows, or maybe even we just invite questions from members in our WhatsApp channel and bring them onto the stream, the questions. But I think that's a far more likely suggestion, sir. Thank you. Osimhen has 371 votes and Ekitike 71 in the WhatsApp, says Stephen Irons. Yeah, it was very lopsided by the time I was starting here, all right. And I was a little bit surprised with that, Stephen. I thought that would have been the other way around. Because, I don't know, maybe George has our minds warped in the Discord group. George is a huge Hugo fan. Cal said 5-year deal plus performance-based incentives yearly. Well, look, most of our contracts are incentivized. So if he's on 150 base, let's say, Cal, I would imagine he could very easily be seeing that get up to 180 and upwards with clean sheets and win bonuses and stuff like that. Vimal said, I think he meant to say TAA, Trent was planning his exit for a couple of years and his tears mean nothing. Konate is following him, so FSG should just sell him. Call his bluff, offer him, you said $200,000 per week, and he'll still sell out like Trent. Honestly, I don't want to go in on Konate because I don't know the lay of the land, and I want to try to be respectful about it. But I agree with your sentiment, my man. I agree with your sentiment wholeheartedly. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough situation for the club to be in right now as well with it. But I do think hardball is the way to go with this one because somebody's going to have to draw a line in the sand with Madrid. And why not be us? We're in a great position at the minute to do it. Just won the Premier League. Just brought in a huge player. So in all honesty, players should want to be here. Players should be tripping over themselves to be here. And players who are already here, well, they should want to be part of what Arne Slot and the club are building. Right, we've gone past the 3,000 votes. So, we said, do you think Konate stays at Liverpool? 52% of the 3,000 people that voted said yes, they do think he stays at Liverpool. 48% said no, they think he leaves. Where am I in this one? Oh. I'd probably be with the 52%. I probably think an agreement is reached, but I don't say that with any level of confidence. Andrew Smith said, we've seen how poor Ibu is without the big man alongside, hasn't the character to command the defence. I would agree with that. So, for instance, if Virgil picked up a hamstring injury that kept him out for 2 months, do I think the defence looks as solid with Konate leading it? Absolutely not. Not a chance in hell. I think he still has mistakes in his game, which is why I'm in that 150 grand a week camp for Konate for his wages. I think it's easy for us to all sit here and go, yeah, give him 200 grand a week. But, you know, let's just look at this, right? If what the Athletic has said, which is that Florian Wirtz base salary at Liverpool is going to be £200,000 per week, and that's coming from the Athletic. So it's not some fly-by-night crowd or Johnny on the internet. So if the Athletic are saying that Florian Wirtz's base salary at Liverpool is £200,000 per week plus incentivised bonuses, how are you going to give Ibu 200 grand a week? You know, you've just broken the British transfer record and the German transfer record to bring in Florian Wirtz. So if he's on 200 G's a week, there's no way you can give Ibrahim Konate the same money. It would just be nuts, in my opinion. So yeah, if you're looking for that money and a record transfer has just come in on a base of 200 grand a week, for me, I would say, here's the final offer. You've got 2 weeks. Make your mind up. Who replaces him, though? Centre-back market is dry. Again, I don't know that answer, mate. But like I've said, you can't have him walking out the door for free. And if he is going to force that issue, then you've got to make an example of it and leave him in the reserves for the season. I know that sounds harsh, but, you know, it is what it is. If you can't find the breakthrough of the contract, a line in the sand has to be drawn on a firm date given. So, you know, I'm not saying it'll be easy to replace him, but ultimately, there's only so much the club can do before it starts to look like, well, maybe there's something else afoot here. Schmungus. Don't want to get ahead of the mark, but I'm praying for a Real Madrid versus Liverpool game this season. It's going to be a hell of a season. Yeah, I'd love us to play them as well at Anfield. So number 12 could get you know what I mean. Ian said, Craig, would you do a 2 for the price of 1 and put Darwin and Robbo for Alvarez like we put Darwin and Robbo together, and how many add-ons? Alvarez just doesn't want to be in England by the sounds of the reports, mate, over the past while. There was some reports that his partner was unhappy with the weather in the UK. So if it was a weather and lifestyle thing, I don't think there's any attracting the player back to the league, in all honesty. But we could do a Chiesa and Darwin type of thing with Napoli, perhaps, if Liverpool were to make a move for Victor Osimhen. 3-0 PSG now in that game, people are saying. 3-0. Must nearly be over now, though, right? It's I think it started at 8, so should be into the final stages of that one. Again, PSG certainly picking up where they left off in the Champions League there with a comprehensive 3-0. Even the possession stats that I'd looked before I came on were incredibly lopsided. Like, it was like almost 75% or something to PSG. It is nuts, though, that we were the team that ran them the closest this season in the Champions League. Over 2 legs we lost on penalties. So that's, obviously speaks to how good PSG are, but also speaks to the fact we ain't too shabby either. LFC Naturalist said, Branthwaite, Gay, Haddo, just a matter of whether you're willing to go for them. Crazy chat. So Stones 250k, Gvardiol 200k, Fofana 200k, Maguire 190k, but Konate doesn't deserve 200k. But just because other clubs have overpaid centre backs doesn't mean Liverpool have to do it. So 190k a week for Maguire and 85 million transfer fee. Would you say there's value in that? John Stones 250 grand a week. Again, has done a lot more at City over the time he's been there than I would say Konate has done, personally. Not saying he's a better player, but Konate isn't at the latter stages of his career either here. We're talking about somebody who's, 24? Something like that, 25? So, yeah, look, Liverpool just can't throw good money after bad. Simple as that. We can't just keep caving in and just throw money at players. I don't think Konate's worth 2. Let me just ask the question to the chat. Because that's an easier way than me and you going back and forth and having a debate on it. Let's just ask the chat. So, is Konate worth 200k per week? So, is Konate worth 200k per week? And I'm sure we'll see what the chat says and we'll have a better indication of it then. Would I take Christian Mosquera as a replacement for Konate? I don't know who he is, in all honesty. I don't know who he is, so I'd have to say no for that reason. Niall Jordan said, anything over 150 is too much. He's not worth 200 a week, said David Massett. Jordan Walker said, in today's market, yes. But what's today's market, is an example. Spurs don't pay anywhere near the wages we do. So I don't know. I just don't think he's worth going from 80,000 to 200,000. I don't think he's worth a 25-30% rise in his wages. Just, for me, he's not worth that much. Daniel Hammond said, what's happening with Nat Phillips? Contract's up. He'll be gone. I thought he was decent for us when he played. Yeah, his contract's up at the end of this season, and he'll be released and allowed to, carry on his career elsewhere. Kyle said, I'd say take 45-50 million for a transfer, then bring in a player for 30-40 mil for 130k per week for 4 to 5 years. Well, think of it this way. If Konate is decided in his mind, and again, We don't know that he has, but let's just, for a minute, say he's decided in his mind that he wants to go to Real Madrid and that he's going to run down his deal. In that case, he won't accept a sale. He won't accept a new contract from Liverpool. So if that's the case, then the option here is going to be you're in the reserves for the season, or you let him run down his deal and go for free to Madrid and play him through the season like we did with Mohamed Salah, Virgil and Trent. I'm glad it's not my decision to have to make a Liverpool Football Club, but I would say this is the point where Liverpool need to set an example, personally, because we can't be walked on again and be manipulated to let a player leave for free to go to a rival. We can't do it, in my opinion, so hardball time for me. But again, we got to say, these are all just media speculation and talk at the minute. Konate may very well be deep into negotiations, and we could get an announcement in the next month saying he signed a new deal at Liverpool and we're all happy. This shouldn't be a question of whether you want him to leave or not. I think it's a question of, again, the club taking their eye off the ball and allowing the situation to get to a player with 1 year to go on his contract. So the club aren't removed of any responsibility here either. You know, we let Trent string it along and manipulate the situation, and it seems as if we're into that territory now with Konate. But we don't have any other centre-backs, like you said before. We need at least one more. We do, but again, do you want to be rinsed and have Konate playing for a season, knowing that his future's in Madrid, knowing that you're coaching him and improving him for Madrid? So I get it, but if it's a case for me, it's either sell or you're on the bench for the season if you won't sign the new deal. And then you go out and you get your centre-backs. I'm not saying it's ideal by any stretch of the imagination. There is no good outcome to this that isn't him signing a new deal. Any other outcome for this, and it gets tricky for Liverpool in the market, because like you said, I think we need one centre-back now. Probably need two if you lost Konate. And who they are, again, it's a very fair comment, but I'm sure that Liverpool's recruitment team have plan A, B, C and D and various options at centre-back that they think will come in and do a job. If I were the manager, I would do everything in my power to get William Pacho. Well, that ship sailed. There's not a hope in hell you're getting Pacho at a Paris Saint-Germain. Yeah, that move's one that PSG are very happy that they got done, and obviously the player probably quite happy with how things worked out there as well. Would you guys take Evan Nielsen from Bournemouth? Not for me personally. I don't think he's good enough. He was at Porto beforehand, wasn't he? If my memory's right. No, not for Liverpool. I don't think Evan Nielsen's good enough. Oliver said, oh, sorry, let me get this one back up for you, mate. Virgil loyal, Trent Madrid, Konate Madrid, Robbo. Well, I don't think, for Andy Robertson, I think this is a different scenario, by the way. Because Konate's not looking at Liverpool going out there and bringing in the best young centre-back in the Premier League to come in and compete with him. Robbo knows that his time at Liverpool was probably going to come to an end soon, at least as a starter. So the fact that he could move to a different part of the world with his young family and play in a slightly slower paced league where the manager would probably guarantee him to play most weeks. The Robertson situation, I think, is very different for me. Maybe I'm looking at this through fondness for Andy Robertson, but I certainly have no ill feeling for Robbo if he decides to make that move to Atletico Madrid. You know, look at the situation. He's about to be replaced by Kerkez, so I don't feel any animosity whatsoever towards Andy Robertson. Sinister said, Happy Father's Day, Craig. From one moron to another. You're loved and appreciated by this moron typing this message. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you. Happy Moron's Day to you too. Mitchell said, Konate ain't worth it, like you said, Craig. If VVD goes injured, could we count on him? Nope. Konate ain't worth more than 150 to 180k. That's at worst yeah, like, let's flip this situation a little bit. If Konate had 2 years to go now on his Liverpool deal and was negotiating with Liverpool this summer on an extension, I think some of the views would be a bit different about what we should be offering him. And look, I do understand, by the way, what that gentleman said earlier on about what United have paid their centre backs, what Manchester City are paying the likes of Guardiola, but we ain't Manchester United and Manchester City, and um, that's not the way we run our football club. We have to make every penny count, and 80 grand to 200k for me just seems too much money. So, almost at 1,000 votes. The question is Ibrahima Konate worth £200,000 per week at Liverpool? Now, if he decides he's going to Madrid, by the way, it doesn't matter. All of this discussion between you, me, and everybody else in the chat about wages doesn't matter if he's already made his mind up and wants to go to Madrid. And again, we don't know one way or the other. So, if that's the case, then this isn't worth any of our time negotiating it or arguing about it, because if he wants to go to Madrid, no offer Liverpool make is going to keep him. And that's, something I think we haven't really put out there yet. So if there's a genuine interest in him wanting to sell, and like he's at 200, Liverpool are at 150, you'd hope that there was a middle ground somewhere, maybe some more achievable bonuses or something like that. But if his mind is edging towards going to Madrid, then all the money in the world ain't going to change that. Konate is the right age and Liverpool are over the barrow. Are we though? Really? Over a barrow? Again, like I've said to you, Hans, I look at it a little bit differently. So if I'm Liverpool and I get a feeling that Konate is trying to wrestle this negotiation in his favour, my response to him is going to be, do you want to play in the World Cup next summer, mate? Because Didier Deschamps ain't going to pick you if you're sitting on the bench for a year, which, by the way, is what's going to happen if you try to play silly beggars over this contract extension or want to run it down for free. So, yeah, ball's in your court, mate. But if you don't want to, sign on here, then we're going to have to sell you this summer. And if you don't want to be sold this summer and you refuse to be sold, then we're going to make a decision to stick you on the bench for the year, and you won't be going to that World Cup next summer. That's what I'd be fucking doing, and I don't care. That's how I'd be running things right now if I was sitting in that seat and somebody was trying to hold us to ransom. And again, I'm not saying he is. These are hypothetical scenarios. Colin said Konate has had too many injuries for high wages. I think from memory now, if I'm wrong on this, I apologise, but from memory, I think this season the injuries have certainly been less than in previous seasons. At least that's my recollection with Konate. I think he stayed fit the majority of this season, in all honesty, working off memory. Konate doesn't feel like the same centre-back as when he was 22, 23, said Damon. Craig, then do you know when the medical is for Wirtz? So he's supposed to be on holidays till Wednesday. There was some talk that maybe he comes in a little bit earlier from holidays, gets the medical done, gets the media stuff done, then goes back out for the remainder of his holiday. All players try to give them at least 4 weeks in the summer. So Wednesday, I'd say, Thursday would be the latest it might happen, but certainly not out of the realms of possibility that it could happen before then. And obviously the Milos Kerkez situation is going to kick along now over the next couple of days. Bournemouth have brought in his replacement, so that's one bit of business they've taken care of, and now you'll see an escalation in the negotiations between the two clubs. For me, Konate were to leave, I'd go for Jurel Haddo or Nico Schlotterbeck. Schlotterbeck's definitely a good show. Jurel Haddo is a really interesting one as well because of the versatility, like you've mentioned. Can play left back, left centre back. Obviously, a Dutch player as well, so Arne Slot will certainly know all about him. Yeah, two very good suggestions, mate. Craig, can you wish me luck? I have a test English tomorrow. All the luck in the world, Subi. Hope it goes well for you, my friend. And yeah, I'm very glad I'm past that age of taking all the exams and stuff. But yeah, I wish any of you guys and girls taking those exams, whether it be college, secondary school, or whatever, I wish you nothing but the best with them. Right, where have we got? So up to 1,300. We'll call it a 1,500. So if you haven't voted yet, about 200 to go. Is Ibrahim Konate worth 200 grand per week? Right, let's fly through some of the news. So, if you don't mind, I'll go through this chronologically because it's easier for me to do it that way. Let's start off with Marca, who said that Real Madrid have begun working on their next free agent, Ibrahim Konate. Hugo Ekitike is prepared to wait for Liverpool, said this report from Red Memorabilia, rather than join Chelsea or Man United now. Liverpool are working on an exit for Darwin Nunez, and once he's sold, their attention will turn to agreeing a deal with Eintracht Frankfurt for Hugo Ekitike. Personal terms won't be a problem. Now, this is a report that I can't say is right or wrong because, like I've said, I don't have information on the centre forward situation. But what I do agree with this piece on is that Ekitike seems to be taking his time at the minute and looking at everything that's on the table for him. Like, he didn't rush into the Chelsea deal. I don't think he'll rush into the United deal. And I do think he seems to be waiting to see if Liverpool are interested. That's my guess at this one. Romano said, Al Hilal are still not giving up on Victor Osimhen, or Osimhen, excuse me. They've not left conversations and remain interested in the player. Next, there's an understanding between Diaz and Barcelona. It's very important as they don't have to worry about competition. They can focus solely on negotiations with Liverpool, say Sport. Calcio Mercado say that Besiktas are the latest club to enter the race for Federico Chiesa, managed by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Diaz has put the brakes on his contract renewal at Liverpool amid Barcelona interest, reports Mundo Deportivo. Then we move on to a Napoli outlet that say Napoli believe Liverpool are the favourites for Victor Osimhen and are unwilling to sell to Juventus. Then we had TBR Football, who said Liverpool held talks with Osimhen before he rejected a move to Al Hilal. Graham Bailey said Ibrahim Konate is demanding big money from Liverpool in contract talks. If a deal isn't agreed in the next month, there's a real prospect of the defender being sold. Then we move on to Defensa Central, who said that Andy Robertson's agent, i.e. Trent's brother, reportedly offered his client services to Real Madrid before contacting several other European clubs. West Ham are exploring the potential of a loan deal for John Duran, with Fulham and Wolves also showing interest. Marca, in basically Spain, a Madrid mouthpiece, said top clubs are now becoming afraid of Real Madrid because of their free agent signing policy. They know that when Madrid come in, it becomes very difficult to keep their players. Liverpool felt it with Trent, and now they're feeling it with Konate. So that's a little flavour of some of the media talk over the last 24 hours or so. And I don't think Marca are wrong in one regard, with clubs certainly paying attention to the fact that Madrid they have a policy of either paying big money for young prospects and keeping them on low wages, or trying to get players to run down their contracts, leave for free and give them high wages. That seems to be Real Madrid's new philosophy. TF said, VVD and Ibu are the best centre-back pairing in the Premier League. Why would you want to break that up over an extra 30 to 50k a week? Again, why are they the best centre-back pairing in the Premiership, mate? It's because one side of that's doing the heavy lifting, and that's Virgil. And we're not trying to break up anything. But again, he's on 80k a week. Liverpool will have a number they feel comfortable at, and they're not going to just throw money at him in case he runs off. It's just not the way the world works. You don't just go, oh shit, Real Madrid are interested, better give him another 50 grand a week. Because, like I've said, we've just brought in Florian Wirtz, and the Athletic have said he's on £200,000 a week as his base salary. And that's a record transfer fee for a potential Ballon d'Or winner. Virgil only got really above the 200 grand a week mark significantly in his last extension, and he's the best centre-back in the world. I just don't think there's value there personally at 200 grand a week. Diaz said that's just not true. I don't know what you're responding to there, mate. If you're responding to the best centre-back partnership, I guess that's open for debate. Who's been your favourite right-back in Liverpool shirt, past or present? Steve Finnan, always somebody I'll hold in high regard. I'm a little bit biased there as well. Do I like William Saliba? He's a very good centre-back, yes. But again, when Gabriel wasn't there, Saliba didn't look the same player either. Extra 50k could cost us title. I love the way people are just putting this on Liverpool here and just saying, give up, just do what he wants, give him what he wants. Yeah, I'm glad you guys aren't negotiating the contract extensions because, my God, you'd be all just throwing money around. Again, remember, Liverpool have to balance things up. So we also have to look to other deals we need to do and the wiggle room that we have in the wage cap. And with all due respect, doubling his wages should be more than enough for anybody. So 80k up to 150, 160k. That to me seems like a more than fair offer. And I don't think he's a 200k a week defender. Just don't. You know, that's just my opinion on it. Grim Reaper said, Ibu gives away too many fouls to be worth 200k per week. You can clean up his gameplay and take leadership in defence, not relying on Verds, then 200k is potentially doable. So, there's another aspect, like I mentioned earlier on. If Konate has made up his mind he wants to go to Madrid, it doesn't really matter one jot what Liverpool offer. You know? If he wants to go to Madrid and if they're in his ear like they were with Trent and he's planned on running his deal down, then it won't matter what Liverpool offer. He could offer 150, 170, 180, 200. If he wants to go to Madrid, he's going to go to Madrid or he's going to try to run the deal down. So, yeah, as I said, a lot of this is speculation. Often in these scenarios, the Madrid mouthpieces start to put the pressure on. And then all of us get talking about it. But the truth is, we don't know. We know what Madrid want us to think, but we don't know what's going on with Konate. Like we said, he came out and spoke about the fact that really reliable journalists in Paul Joyce, Fabrizio Romano and some others were way off the mark with an extension being close. So, yeah, all we have from this side is one side of this debate, and that's the Madrid mouthpieces. And it doesn't help, I suppose, with the likes of Graham Bailey. And again, no disrespect to Graham, I don't know him, but him saying Konate is demanding big money, I just think that just puts our own fan base against them to put out something like that. For instance, it's not an article or a piece I'd ever write or would put in those words. Because I think if you're putting it in the demanding big money, you're trying to turn your own fan base there on the player. That's the way I view this situation. You know, say something like Liverpool and Konate are still quite far apart in their valuations of his salary. Something like that would be the way I'd approach it. Right, so 61% of the people that voted said that they don't think Ibrahima Konate is worth £200,000 a week. And thank you to everyone that voted. So, as you can see, not an overwhelming majority, but a fairly big majority there. I have 21% of the difference think he isn't worth 200 grand a week. Michael Main, or Mane, it depends, said, Craig, hear me out. I think we should let Konate go if his case is becoming too much for the club. Then we can focus on the centre-back we've always been linked to with Branthwaite on a long deal with less money. I'd love Branthwaite, but genuinely, I'd love Konate to stay as well. You know, I'm not wishing Ibrahima Konate away here one bit. My hope is that he stays at Liverpool Football Club. But I don't want the club held over a barrel for wages either. So Romano has said, and thank you Craig Adams for putting this into the chat for me. It makes it nice and easy for me to read. Napoli have moved from phone calls to serious, direct and concrete contact for Darwin Nunez. They're working on the operation. So, again, breaking news from Fabrizio Romano, for those of you who are coming in. Napoli are making a serious concerted effort here to try to sign Darwin Nunez. I think it'd be a great move for him. Hand on heart, I think that would be a brilliant move for him. Conte has shown before that he can put his arm around a player and get the best out of them in his system. He's done it with Lukaku and he's done it previously with others as well. I think it would be a great fit, him and Napoli. I think the Napoli fan base would do their best to get right behind him. I think he'd love the passion over there as well from those Napoli fans. I think it'd be a good fit. I do. I think it would be a good way for him to stay in Europe, stay playing at a high level, playing in a team, of course, that are just won Serie A, a team that are going to be in the Champions League. Yeah, I would say that's a way better move for him than the idea of running to Saudi. So if that happens, yeah, it'll be an interesting move. So let's ask that in the chat. Do you think he should go? Right, do you think Darwin should join Napoli? We'll revisit this one in a while. Would you rather Osimhen, Ekitike, love from Jordan? I'm not convinced by either, mate, to be honest with you. With the numbers involved and the price, I'd probably side for Osimhen because £60 million and £85 million or €100 million versus €70 million, I'd probably edge Osimhen for the value in the deal, and he's proven at a higher level as well, in my opinion. So yeah, in that regard, I'd probably go for Victor. If Liverpool offer Konate 160 grand a week, that's doubling his wages, and based on evidence of a full season, I'm not convinced he's even worth that, said Martin Lawrence. Yeah, look, we're going to find out soon enough what way this works out, you know. Like I've said, we're only getting one side of this at the minute, and that's the Madrid mouthpiece side, who are saying that Konate wants to go and join Real Madrid. If he does, then I think it doesn't really matter what Liverpool do. You know, they either try to sell or you're going to have to play hardball with them. Coleman said, Craig, in my opinion, we can't let Konate go on a free. We should use the World Cup as a way to deal with it. Well, that's what I've been saying for ages. We do have, that's probably the strongest card in our deck at the minute is to say to him, no, mate, you're going to sit on the bench for a year if you don't sign the new deal, or we sell you this summer, but leaving for free is an option. And if he's adamant and says, I only want to go to Madrid and I am not signing a new deal and I'm not being sold, then on the bench you go, and we take a hit on the 80 grand a week wages for the year. That's what I'd be doing if I'm Liverpool. But again, that's only if he makes it clear that he wants to go to Madrid. Last week, Konate was going to PSG. Yeah, nobody said he was going to PSG, dickhead. So how about stop being an asshole? You gobshites that come in to try and just shit all over our community just make me laugh. Not once has anybody said he was going to PSG. Not once. We said they're interested in him because they are, but not once did anyone say he was going to PSG. So you're not as funny or smart as you think you are, asshole. Demetrius said, Osimhen owned by Napoli. Why don't we do a swap with Darwin if they're interested? It's certainly something that could be done, you know. Absolutely could be done. If Liverpool really do have an interest in Osimhen, yeah, of course, mate. That's a deal that I think we'd probably be looking at giving 10 million on top, maybe. I think a fair valuation of Darwin's probably somewhere between 40 and 50. His release clause, Osimhen, is 60, so 60 in pounds, I mean, sorry. Love it when Craig goes badass. I just don't have time for it. It's as simple as that, David. You know, there's too many people in the chat that are respectful and lovely and are trying to contribute to what we're doing. And I'm not having anybody come in and undermine those people by trying to sound like a smartass. If you're so brilliant, go start your own channel and everybody will just bow down to your genius. But if your only goal in life is to come in and belittle others, then just get a better life. Is there any rumoured fee we will sell Darwin for? So, there were reports that we value him at £70 million. Now, in all honesty, we've paid 71 million so far for him. And if we could get £70 million for him, build the statue for Edwards and Hughes right now. I think 40 to 50 is probably a more reasonable one. But I guarantee you the first offer from Napoli is going to be nuts, like incredibly low. Something like a loan with an obligation to buy for like 35 million euro or something like that. Craig, you made me laugh there with that outburst. I've always said to people, don't ever take me being polite and nice as a sign of weakness, because I will quite happily turn angry mode on assholes like that. I give the respect to those that deserve it, and you guys have certainly deserved and earned my respect over the time on here, but I'm not having anybody belittle you, me, or anybody else in that community. MJ, much love, bro. Appreciate you. Osimhen wants silly wages, so move on. To be fair though, Andrew, if he was just chasing the wedge, he'd be in Saudi. Because Al Hilal, last I'd heard, we're talking about 700 grand a week at one point. And if that's the amount of money on the table from, and he's all about the money, he would have ran and taken that. So, yeah. Truth is, I don't really know. I've not really followed his career extensively, to be honest. I haven't. But right now, he's turned down a big money move. So he clearly still has some designs on playing at a high level in Europe. I wouldn't mind doing a deal with Atletico, Nunez and Robbo for Alvarez. It's Alvarez apparently, and again I say apparently, but the common belief is that he just doesn't like the UK weather and that he's no intention of returning back to the UK. So as much as I love Julian Alvarez because he'd be my top choice, I just don't think it's a runner, unfortunately. Right, Napoli have moved from phone calls to serious, direct and concrete contacts for Darwin Nunez. They're working on the operation as per Fabrizio Romano YouTube via Anfield sector. So there we go. Like we said, they are serious about Darwin Nunez, but let's see what the first offer is. Louis said, what's the latest with Robbo? It seems though, look, at least there was a report yesterday saying that he said yes to Atletico. But where I think there may be a bit of a sticking point is they apparently, again, according to media reports, would like him for a small fee or for free. And I'd seen a report that Liverpool would be looking to do business at about 25 million euro or in and around 20 million pound for Andy Robertson. You know, will there be a middle ground? Yeah, probably, because of his good service to the club and, you know, the way he handles himself and hasn't pulled any shenanigans to get this deal. So I think the club would certainly be fair about it if Robbo really did want to move on. I know it won't happen, but for the 50-60 million, would you take Kane this season? No, I wouldn't. I don't know if this is blinded by my personal dislike of Harry Kane. I'll tell you he's a great footballer because he is a great footballer. But I would never want him in a Liverpool shirt. He feels like everything that Liverpool aren't, if you get me. It just doesn't feel like a good cultural fit for me, Harry Kane at Liverpool. Just my opinion on it. 15 million is good for me with Robbo, said David Massett. Yeah, we ran a poll yesterday on the channel, remember? And we put in some different valuations for Robbo. And the bottom two weren't worth talking about because they weren't really voted on. But above 12 million was the highest voted. I think it was about 43% of the vote we did. And 8 to 12 million was next on the list, where I think about 40 odd percent. So yeah, I think somewhere above 8 million is where Liverpool fans are at for Robbo. This summer is a really exciting time for Liverpool supporters, said Thomas. Agree, Craig? Absolutely, mate. What a summer it's been so far. You know, we got to see Liverpool win a Premier League that, let's be honest, we didn't expect to win at the start of the season. We've seen then Liverpool go down and make the statement that we're not going to sit in our hands. We're going to go out and strengthen from a great position of strength, which we have. About when we get Kerkez in, you're about, let's say, about £190 million spent on 3 players between Frimpong, Kerkez and Wirtz, all told in those deals. And we're still expecting more big business according to a lot of reports. So, yeah, I think we'll get a down period where there's some sales, like I've said. But if we can end this window, sorting out the centre-back situation to a level that we're all happy with, getting the centre-forward situation sorted where Darwin goes out and we bring one in, then I think it's a reacting summer then. If Diaz goes, you get you bring in a replacement there. But apart from that, I think we're nearly set, you know. If Costa stays, fair enough. He's the backup then to Kerkez or Milos Kerkez for the time being. We've 2 good options at right back. Hopefully Konate signs a new deal and stays. If he does, bring in one more centre back and we're good to go. Yeah, we're not too far away. It's really exciting times. And I hope you've all seen, by the way, that I'm a man of my word. For all of my Where's the Money Johns and for all of my FSG or spoofers and charlatans and don't back the manager, I always said when they start spending, you won't hear me calling them out. And I haven't, because how could I, as a Liverpool fan in good conscience, not be really happy with this transfer window so far? I'd be an idiot if I was moaning about it. I'm scared there'll be too many changes this summer. We need to balance stability and financial security. Understood, my mate, understood. A couple of people over the last few days have had similar concerns. In fact, at the very start of the stream, Connor, the other half of Anfield Agenda, shared a similar concern. But what I would say is, it depends what these changes are. So if Chiesa moves on and we have to replace him, well, we're not really replacing anyone in the squad, are we? Because he didn't get game time. Kwanzaa played a handful of games last season. If he goes, I don't think it's too much change. You're looking at starting 11 change for me. Yes, there will be a change at right back because Trent's gone. But that was going to happen anyway. Left back, there'll be a positive change because we're bringing in the best replacement we could at left back. Wirtz, you're not going to notice Harvey Elliott gone out of the squad with Wirtz being the replacement. So I don't think there's wholesale change. Yes, people have pointed out there could be some change across the back line, and that's fair enough. Cal said, Craig, striker market currently sucks and overpriced. 100% agree with you, my friend. Keep our powder dry. Move Mo, the centre forward, extend his career. Go buy a winger, of which there are many, Williams and Bomo, Semenyo, and then get a centre forward next season. I'd rather we didn't buy a centre forward than splurge on somebody we weren't convinced by. Like, let's play a game now where Darwin gets sold and we don't bring in a replacement, right? Just for a minute. We play a situation, a hypothetical, where we sell Darwin, let's say to Napoli, and Liverpool can't get the one they want. I don't want us rolling the dice again on a centre forward that we're going to have to overpay for. So for me, I think that situation of taking a year, seeing how Dan's gets on, maybe looking towards John Duran as a potential loan, and bringing in another tricky wide player, like you've said, maybe having a false 9 in Wirtz, maybe if Diaz stays, he comes in centrally, move Mo centrally. I'd be more open to that than just spunking money on a striker that we're not convinced by or isn't the club's number 1 target. Sadish Edwards, thank you for being a member with us for 9 months. Hey Craig, do you think there's a chance for Isak? I don't, but others certainly do. Now, again, maybe it's because they have far better information than me, and that's absolutely possible. But for me, as an outside observer, having no inside information on it, I don't know how you force Newcastle to sell. You know, they're going in from a season where they've just won a cup. They're in the Champions League. His contract isn't exactly short, so they don't have to rush him out the door. It would take him to be pretty blunt and come out and say, I want to go to Liverpool. If that happens, then absolutely anything's possible. But it doesn't feel realistic at the minute, despite lots of people saying Liverpool are still waiting and looking at him. Would I take Jonathan David from Lille on a free? Again, it would depend on the wages. He was looked at by a couple of clubs in Italy. They couldn't get to a position where they thought that they could get to the wages being asked. Yeah, it would depend on the wages. Like, if you said to me, get Jonathan David in on a free for 200 grand a week and a signing on bonus of 10 million quid, then I'd say, yeah, okay, that wouldn't be the worst roll of the dice in the world. But if you're talking about him being in on 300 grand a week, absolute non-starter for me. Duran loan also works. Don't want another Darwin. For me, it would be a great middle ground if we can't get the forward we want. Because it's not like we're having to go and knock on Al Nassr's door for a player they aren't aware that they may be about to move out on loan for the season, especially with the World Cup ahead. But I would only take a loan for Duran if Liverpool had an option at a fixed fee to buy him, because the last thing you'd want to see is Liverpool bringing a player on loan. It worked really well, and then the asking price to become either ridiculously high or you've just improved them for somebody else. What's the price of Branthwaite? I think if Everton sold, if you're probably talking 70, 75 million pound based off numbers I've seen thrown around. Romano also said, and thank you, Mark, for this, Napoli are not the only club in the race. There's competition, including from Saudi Arabia. In short, it's not an easy deal, but Napoli are working on it. I wonder what they mean by it's not an easy deal, because maybe Liverpool have a very, very, very high valuation on Darwin. Maybe they are holding out for that £70 million, but I'll be intrigued to see how this one goes, these negotiations, because Italian clubs are known for looking to get players in on loan with a potential or an option to buy at the end of it. They've been masters of doing that over the years to players that haven't worked out in the Prem. Inspire me now. So Craig, I'm sorry, but Jota and Nunez should try new challenges. They're not on the level for Liverpool. Mate, I said at the very start of this summer, I would sell both our strikers and I would keep Diaz and I would go out and bring in another one and then have Dan's as a potential backup in the future. It feels like to me what you said is right, but I think I'm unsure on the Jota situation. Some still report that Diogo Jota is available for sale. I just think Arne believes in him and thinks that he's a very good deputy to have at the club. I would say Isak is the best 9 in the market right now, but he's not in the market. That's the problem. If Isak was on the market and Newcastle said £120 million, you'd see Liverpool negotiating, but he seemingly isn't on the market, and that's the problem. The striker market, I think we'll all agree, is inflated at the minute because there isn't a huge group of world-class strikers that are available. You've got Gyökeres, which is a punt, whatever way you look at it, but 60 million quid there. Ekitike for €100 million seems madness to me, way overpriced. The situation with Jonathan David is an interesting one, as you said, but is he ultimately good enough? Don't know. João Pedro is another option. We've spoken about Alvarez not being realistic either, so not much choice there. Osimhen, again, I said this the other day, I don't understand why nobody has kicked the door down for Osimhen. I don't understand it. It feels like Premier League clubs should be queuing up to get him. Craig, do you think Osimhen excites you more than Ekitike? Yes, because I know a bit more of Osimhen. I don't... Yeah, I think Osimhen's proven himself over a longer period and I would feel less concerned, but it still wouldn't be my number one choice. David said, Craig, bro, I wanted us to sell Jota, but we can't sell Darwin and Jota if we don't have another centre forward in mind. I don't think we will. I can't see Liverpool selling unless they have a centre forward plan, which they clearly do. And to be fair, they've done well to keep it pretty much under wraps for now. People are guessing about Osimhen. People are guessing about Isak. People are guessing about Duran. People are guessing about other targets for the centre. But yeah, truth is, I don't know if anybody knows now who Liverpool 100% want. Taking Isak and Alvarez out of 10 equation, who's the ideal striker? Šeško or Osimhen? Of what would be remaining, Šeško feels like the most Liverpool-esque type signing. You know, somebody who's come through the Red Bull system, played for two different clubs, somebody who is the right age bracket. And I remember one thing we were told last week, Liverpool like players who've had a career before the Liverpool career. So I think Šeško could be astute. So I'd say him or Osimhen would be the two I would think off the top of my head. Who would be your number one choice available for number 9 position? If available, any name out there, Julian Alvarez would be top of my list. Our options are Sesko, Hugo, Osimhen, and Osimhen is better than those two. So there's a difference somewhat there as well, though, in that there's two that are a few years younger than the other. But this is what we're talking about. There is no standout name where we're all going, oh my God, the excitement of this. We're all kind of, we're giving in somewhat. We're all compromising here to some degree, whatever we're talking about tonight with the striker situation. So we asked, do you think Darwin should join Napoli? And we've had nearly 1,400 votes, and 92% of people said yes. He should join. Nunez has so much potential, just can't put it to work. Could be better than Haaland. He's got all the tools. Absolutely, I agree. He has everything needed to be a top striker, other than perhaps the mentality. Terry said everything about this Liverpool channel is crack. I think you mean good. I'll take that as good, hopefully. Keep what's this? Keep up all your hard work. Good work, Craig. Thank you, my man. The channel's only as good as the viewers. That's what I always say. And our community is incredible, you know. So you've never had to thank me for it, my man. It's an absolute pleasure to be on here speaking with people every night. So yeah, thank you. All I can do is be consistent, you know, try to stream when I can, do videos when I can, and hope for the best with it. But yeah, I really appreciate it. Look, the amount of support we've had over the last few weeks in particular has been incredible. What about Vlahovic? Never seen him realistically linked to Liverpool. Never really heard his name mentioned in conversation, which is a weird one because I could see the appeal of a Vlahovic, even though he wouldn't be. You know, for Arsenal as an example, I thought Dusan Vlahovic could have been a decent option. I struggle to really pick one for us though, because I've been honest all the way through the window and say I don't know what an Arne Slot centre forward is. If we were talking about Jurgen Klopp now, I feel I'd have a much better show at telling you who we could or should be looking at. But one season of Arne where we've never really had the right number 9 makes it really tough for me as a fan to go, that's the guy. Liverpool still have the spine of the squad, which is paramount. Oh, Andrew, absolutely, bro. Absolutely, like, not just the spine, we've kept most of the group together. So, goalkeeper is still there, top-notch centre-back still there, midfield just gotten even better. You know, Gravenberg, McAllister, Soboslai, Jones, Wirtz, Endo, incredible. Up top, we do need work there. That's fair enough. Mohamed Salah, though, still there, like you said, spine of the team. And the left side, you know, either Diaz stays and we have two great options on the left side, or Diaz goes and Liverpool bring in another young, hungry, fast winger to compete with Gakpo. So yeah, I agree. I'm buzzing going into next season. And I really feel we're going into this as the favourites to win the Premier League. And I haven't really felt that way for a long time. Even during our heyday under Jurgen, I always felt like City were probably the favourites going into each season. Next season, honestly, think we're the favourites going in. Anything else on that German Peter Crouch? He's playing in the Euro under-21s at the minute, mate, with Germany. I think someone said he scored tonight in the game against Czechia. Watkins in a cup prize for a couple of years while the striker market switches up. So, for me, once Ollie Watkins put it out there, his dream move was Arsenal. It kind of ended any fun in that for me. Robbie Fowler certainly agrees with you and said Ollie Watkins will be an astute ploy for a few seasons, but he's turning 30, I think, next December or something. And with the fee Villa would ask for, I just don't think that's realistic. What about Martinez? He's proven. He's 28 though, isn't he? So if you're, I think, is Latour 28? Something like that? I know he's certainly on the higher end of 20 anyway. So for me, I think Edwards would look at that and say, too old. And probably not good enough either, if I'm being honest. Harry James said, I really like Gonzalo Ramos and I think Arne Slot type of striker. He could be available, by the way. If Liverpool wanted to move for Ramos, I think PSG may do business on him because, you know, that's one position I think they feel like they could probably still improve in, and he's had a bit of a mixed season under Enrique. So, yeah, that one could be possible. I think Anfield Watch, if I'm not mistaken, did a piece a few weeks back talking about Liverpool having interest in him. We should look at Ricardo Pepi from PSV, clinical striker. Again, I'm sure Arne knows all about the Dutch market and the good young Dutch players coming through. So if there is a bargain to be had there, I certainly believe that he'd know about it. Right, look, I'm going to go and record a quick update video with the news around Darwin Nunez and Napoli and all that kind of stuff. Should be out before 11. Tomorrow, the plan is to be live at 8:45, but if my throat gets worse and you don't see me, you don't see me. But next weekend, you definitely won't see me. Saturday and Sunday, because Brian, LFC USA, is coming over from Boston, and I'm bringing him around parts of Ireland for the weekend to show him around our beautiful country. So 100% I won't be here next weekend. If a story breaks, you're going to have to rely on Crosby to jump on, because, yeah, I'm definitely off the radar then. But look, I will catch up with you guys tomorrow. Much love as always. If you could hit that subscribe button, drop a like for me before you head off. We need 129 to go to get to 1,000 likes. Would be really appreciated if we could get there. We've been on a great streak of getting to 1,000 likes. David said, hey Craig, who would you like to see us sign at centre-back and centre-forward? Branthwaite, and at centre-forward, Alvarez would be my ideal one. Isak would be incredible. And anybody else that kind of feels a bit of a roll of the dice. So look, ladies and gents, much love. Again, appreciate you. 100 and less than 100 to go now. We'll see you tomorrow. Much